very soon, so please resume your seats. Hello. All right, this afternoon we should have, I hope, we should have Deputy Police Commissioner Yamasombi might be here, but I didn't notice him this morning, so I presume he's not here yet. I'm very familiar with him. Oh, he's here. Yes, thank you. We also have Mr. Ken Y, Deputy Secretary from the Department of Health and his team. And we should have also magisterial services. Yes. Oh, and personal management. So in our schedule, we are supposed to have, after Attorney General, National Planning, Treasury. We didn't have National Planning, but we had Treasury. I think we will follow the schedule and go to the Deputy Police Commissioner. Please take a seat in the front here. Let me also explain that some of our committee members have taken temporary leave. Two have taken temporary leave to attend to banking. So some banking that they cannot get their staff, or maybe personal banking. So they'll be excused for now. The other committee member from Karamui Soltomane to attend to some matters in his constituents. A president of his LLG probably passed away, and he has felt compelled to attend to the deceased. So he will be excused for today's session. But our two committee members who have gone to the bank should join us soon. In the standing orders, as long as we start the inquiry with the quorum, then we can proceed. So we are in compliance with the standing orders of Parliament. This is an inquiry. I want to explain, just for our benefit as well, that it's an extension of the Parliament. It's a work of the Parliament, the members of Parliament. Some are appointed as ministers, so they work at the executive level under the oversight of the Prime Minister. And those of us who are backbenchers, we get into the committee, and the committee exercise the power of Parliament, exercise the power of our people through the Parliament. All our people cannot convene as members of Parliament, so those of us who go to election and win, we are privileged to represent our people. That's how the state is structured. So we represent, we are supposed to represent the will of our people. So I'm just explaining that for us to understand the committee system, that we are representing the power of the people exercised through Parliament. So that gives us wide powers, oversight over all the work of the executive government. The ministers right down to the lowest level, we have oversight over that. So in this committee, we have oversight over the state agencies working towards helping us to achieve gender equality. And since the last Parliament up to now, we have been focused on gender-based violence, because it's a major hindrance or impediment that is stopping us achieving gender equality. Of course, there are other impediments as well, maybe cultural, structural, financial, but we identified that gender-based violence is one major impediment, so we have spent a lot of time focusing on that and working towards reducing gender-based violence. So 50% of our population, they can lift and take their space equally with men and boys, so we can drive our country forward. With that, I welcome the Deputy Police Commissioner. Thank you, sir, for making time to come. You have a very busy schedule and a lot at your hands, as well as the Police Commissioner. Police Commissioner excused himself because he is already attending another, pre-arranged meeting. So I thank him for allowing you to come. I think Deputy Police Commissioner, our line of questioning is basically to ascertain from the police force as to what steps you all have taken in order to respond adequately to the rising prevalence of gender-based violence. You have had our parliament last week. We dedicated 2 special sessions to addressing the status of women and girls, and more particularly to gender-based violence. And that's an unprecedented time that we have allocated to that subject matter. It's a time that is deserving, because for a long time, the voices of women and girls of our country has not been heard at the highest level, especially the trauma and pain and stress that they go through from a normal life and to their professional life and to realizing their dreams and their different pathways that they want to pursue. So the parliament, as I mentioned in the morning, were unanimous that we recognize that this is a serious problem, human rights and development problem in our country, and we must take action. So Deputy Police Commissioner, you are in the front line. One of the points that was noted in the debate and is been also confirmed in the statistics that we have is the level of prosecution or non-prosecution. For example, I think in 2023, the statistics, let me just grab it. (2022), this is from the Department of Health and also from the police, compiling it together. 30,000 cases of GBV reported to FSVSU or FSVU units in the police force. Out of that, only 1,304 arrests were made. That's only about 4%. And then out of that 1,000, only 156 convictions were made. So that's only 5% of that 1,000. So, Deputy Commissioner, you can see the big disparity. The other factor I want to draw to your attention is that in 2016, when we launched the strategy, the instances or statistics on gender-based violence was that about 2 million women and girls plus, they reported or that they were subject to gender-based violence of different form, from the subtle one to vicious one. But the recent statistics now shows that has not receded. In fact, it's gone up, dramatically up, to 3 million. So what is obvious and we need to recognize is that we are in a pandemic. We are in a pandemic, it's an emergency, but how we have responded up to now, which we had dialogue this morning with the frontline Department for Community Development, Department of Justice and Attorney General, and who else did we dialogue with this morning? Yeah, yeah, Justice, but Treasury. What is obvious is that Deputy Police Commissioner, you may not look surveillance crisis. How we structure, how we respond, allocation of resources, we're just taking it casually. So before I give you some specific questions, I just want to remind you, bring to your attention the words of your own PPC up in the Western Islands. Thank you, Superintendent Seneka. Thank you for coming in to support Deputy Commissioner. Yeah, PPC up in Western Islands, in its own words, if I could say it in Pidgin, Mtok, Governor, something else in Waraya. Every day we get instances of gender-based violence in Western Islands. I cannot stop it. I don't have a tap to put it off. It overwhelms us. And in its in the force up there in Western Islands, he has only 2 dedicated officers dedicated to a family sexual violence unit. So he's feel like helpless, or he's incapable of responding. So this is the situation we have in the police force. So if we go back to previous inquiry, I think my recollection is that the proposal, and which is in our previous submission recommendation to the Parliament, is that firstly, in terms of the step that you all should were proposed to take, that you all formalize the FSVSU unit inside the police force. He got a deputy commissioner belong this unit, now he come down. So it's recognized, showing that the police force recognized the seriousness, the emergency, crisis that we face, and is responding. That's one recommendation. And just in terms of our dialogue now, maybe instead of focusing on the FSVU unit, maybe we can synthesize training Bloyumi and Tabla Bomana, Deputy Police Commissioner, Superintendent. Maybe we can train all the police men and women to be sensitive to gender-based violence. They know how to deal with it. The situation, if I could elaborate a bit more, when in the case of SAB, you all know, Deputy Commissioner, that women are tortured, and the communities involved had to arrest because the community, they don't want to, dope in or their relatives give evidence against them. So there is no prosecution. In the case of GEWE generally, if it happens in a rural area, the victim or survivor has to go a number of hurdles. Have to get to the nearest police station, or have to get to the health center, or have to get to the village court. And if it's serious, let's say the crime was committed in Mulbaya electorate of Western Islands. I'm just giving Western Islands as an example, but not for any reason other than just a simple example. She has to find a way to Hagen, so that's not easy for her to, undertake that journey, physical journey. That she's already subject to violence. She's probably in pain. She probably need medical attention more than going to the police. But, in order to get justice, she must travel to Hagen, and so she has to find ways to get there. Maybe she has some relatives there. What if she doesn't have relatives there? And when she goes there, there's no guarantee that she will be attended to, so her problems multiply and double, quadruple. So this is the situation we are faced with. So we need to reorganize ourselves so we recognize that we have an emergency and we operate in an emergency situation. As again, if I elaborate a bit more, we recently faced with the pandemic or COVID pandemic. All our health department officials there, Mr. Kenway and his officials, they help us to manage it. Our commissioner was the controller. We had to shut down the state. We have to bring everything to a standstill. We have to dedicate budget to responding to COVID. But COVID affected Amas line. Other countries, they probably had a severe effect. But in PNG, we did not do a lot of vaccination. But the impact was minimal. But we had to shut down, the entire country in order to control that pandemic from spreading. But in the case of responding to GEWE, we are taking it casually. And when we take it casually, we must remember that so many women and girls, in this year alone, the prediction or the record shows 3 million. 3 million women and girls are subject to violence of one form or another. Bitogia lawyer Mosby and Deputy Commissioner, you yet stablo Mosby long time, you miss stablo Mosby. All mamaya ilagolong bus stop, it's a trauma. All ilagolong market, it's a trauma. They have to think about it. Is it safe? When they go to shopping center, go to the beach, or even visiting their relatives, it's traumatic. And for men, we can get away with it, but for women and girls, it's a serious risk. It's a very serious risk. So in Parliament, I made the comment that maybe to be born a girl in Papua New Guinea, you are unlucky, or you are cursed from the beginning. But it should not be the case. Women and girls of our country, they are equal citizens of this country. By virtue of their, inheritance as being descendant of our foreparents or grandparents or ancestors. By virtue of that, they have the right to be here to live freely, equally benefit from all the resources and opportunity of their country. So I'm overemphasizing it, but it needs to be overemphasized because we have not responded in a way that we should be responding to emergency. So thank you for making yourself available and sharing this time with us. So you can update us on what steps has been taken and how we can improve from both in terms of the constabulary's planning and actions and in terms of how we can work with other interagencies so that we are all working together, taking on this major challenge in our country, especially affecting women and girls, so that we can have a better story to tell, not in 10 years or not in 50 years, but maybe hopefully in the next 1 year or 2 years. I've challenged everybody today and in Parliament that Deputy Commissioner, El Salvador, it used to be known as the mega crime capital of the world. But in 5 years, they turned it around. 5 years. Now it's among the most peaceful countries in the world. Tourists go, investors are going. Women and girls are finding their portion in their country. And it's a thriving country. So it's not like it's impossible. All right, with those remarks, I think, Deputy Commissioner, some of the questions, I think they are there. I think I believe you have had the benefit of some of these questions. They are basically guiding questions, so you can address them specifically or you can talk generally. All of it is recorded and it will form part of our next recommendation to Parliament. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for this opportunity to appear before you and the panel or the committee. And I represent the Commissioner of Police, Mr. David Manning. Firstly, I'd like to commend the Parliamentary Committee for bringing this issue or critical issues to the forefront that is affecting our country and have this national discussion. Gender-based violence and inequality are not just law and order or justice issues. They are challenges that impact the very fabric of our societies, our institutions, and our nation's future. The Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary stands firmly committed to addressing these challenges, both within our organization and in the communities we serve. We recognize that ensuring the safety and empowerment of women and girls is not just a policing issue. It is collective responsibility that requires strong leadership, coordinated action, and lasting societal change. So here I have with me the director responsible for family and sexual violence units throughout the country. I am happy also to advise that through the family and sexual violence units, we have now established family and sexual violence units across 21 provinces in the country. So we have officers across the country with 114 policemen and women working in those offices. The examples of us being committed to that issue and expanding our services are examples that recently we have opened 4 new offices, one being at the 7 Mile police station. We have a FSVU office recently opened there. Up in Warrior district, we have a FSVU office, and in Tabubil. So those are the 4 offices that we have recently opened. And these units remain focused on ensuring survivors have access to protection services and critical resources to support them. What else?
Commissioner, you can be guided by those questions. Huh?
Yes, please.
You have the questions before you. Huh? And of course, Superintendent is
The questions.
welcome to assist you in this regard. I think if you have the question there, what progress has Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary made since 2023 inquiry in strengthening police response, and some of which you have mentioned now, both to GEWE and SAV? What measurable improvements have occurred in case reporting, investigation, prosecution, or survival experience? 2, how many FSVSU are in the country? I think you mentioned this now. By province, and are they all staff and functional? What specific action taken to improve the capacity of those units, including officer training, staff training, infrastructure, and survivor protection? Number 3, how does the constabulary monitor and assess the performance of the units, FSVU units? Have any assessment, evaluation, or reforms been undertaken? What efforts have been taken to synthesize the entire police force? I think perhaps as a co-question to Deputy Commissioner in Muslim, you all have formalized the FSVU units in the constabulary, or it's still like informally at this time? I think that's a core question that we want to elicit from you.
Right, thank you.
Yes.
All right. to strengthen the family and sexual violence units, like I mentioned earlier, with the expansion of the 4 new establishments, we have the director here who is responsible for the family and sexual violence units. The structure of our organization is one thing that we are looking at formalizing at the moment. Now that we have expanded right across the country, it has to be formalized on our structure. With the implementation
sorry, Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, what needs to be done in order to arrive at that? There needs to be a submission or white paper, or there is a structural review taking place inside the constabulary in order that you all can formalize that structure to incorporate the FSVU units. Right now, our understanding is that it's still informal. There is no, for example, a deputy police commissioner dedicated to FSVU. So, like Sendeka is director there, but is a portion, really incorporated into the, formal structure. Maybe, I don't know, DPM is to approve it, or who's to approve it? Something else, yes. Can you just explain that part?
Yeah. With the structure, like the family and sexual violence unit sits under my wing, yes, which is the specialist operations, because they come with the skill sets in attending to such issues. And the director reports to an assistant commissioner that reports up to me, to the commissioner.
So maybe, Deputy Commissioner, it's formalized already. You can say it's formalized already because it's already incorporated in your structure, right?
The structure is there. The positions need to be created and funded. Okay. So when we get people into certain positions, they need to be funded to be paid on the positions that they work in.
Okay.
And that's the only bit that's hanging in the air. Yeah.
Yes, Superintendent, you can assist
Chair,
the Deputy Commissioner.
Elaborate on what the Deputy Commissioner Specialist Officers mentioned about the structure. The executive management in RPNGs approved it, went to DPM, positions created, already uploaded to our RPNGC salary system, but those positions is incomplete, meaning most of those positions created, for instance, for the directorate. For the directorate, we requested for chief superintendent. They gave us chief inspector, which is, for me, it's like I'm underpaid. Also for instance, Morobe province, we asked for positions for chief sergeant across all the OICs, plus sergeant, all those ranks. They only gave positions for OICs only, and which a big demoralization, and it's very, very sensitive. So right now I got all those positions there, but a lot of work to refine them, back to HR and to DPM to include the gaps that have been missed out. Because we want all our RPNGC officers across the country to be happy and know that they've been attached to a position and with a rank.
Yes, with the rank formal structure.
So that's a lot of work needs to be done from the directorate as well as the 22 province officers. We also cater for right down to the districts, but most of the districts were not captured to say. Just the latest.
All right, so do you have this copy of this submission that we could also take up with the Department of Personnel Management? If it's critical to the work, and you all needed it to have that capacity, then, as our committee having oversight over this important issue, we can raise this with the Department of Personnel Management. I think their team are here already. We can engage with them right away. Yeah.
Chair, this is a very critical issue and very sensitive, as I've stated, so I have not disclosed the information to all my officers down the ground, but I'm already liaised with our RPNGC Assistant Commissioner to Human Resource to sort this out, and he has already taken that on board. So we will start work on that to ensure everybody is catered for. in terms of positions.
All right. That aside, Deputy Commissioner and Superintendent, what are the other steps that you all have taken to really build up the capacity of this unit, and so that they can have the ability to respond corresponding to the gravity of the challenge that is beforehand or they face on the ground?
Chair, for that, to build a capacity in terms of appropriate response to the people that we serve in the GBB space for police service, we have designed and developed already police FSB curriculum, which is the training, and already conducted training for cadets, recruits, our in-service officers from the provinces coming in. We were normally scheduled by the trainers to go and do awareness or sensitization training for our serving officers coming in to do short courses up in Bomana. Also for our public officers, public safety officers, and for our own family sexual violence unit officers to be trained.
Superintendent, this is general police generally, members of the constabulary generally, or dedicated as a family sexual violence units members?
General, sir.
All right. So can we say that your approach too is to synthesize all the members of the constabulary to be sensitive to GBB?
Correct.
All right. And this is, you have this curriculum now being used up there at Bomana for recruit, and also the refresher course here in Port Moresby and in the provinces or region as well?
Yes, here in Port Moresby and region too. With RPNGC, we have provincial training officers.
Yes.
Now, as we are talking, our the curriculum is up for review, and we are already planning to bring in our provincial training officers to help us support review that and then do the training on GBB based on the amendment that we're going to make.
Yes. All right, then, Deputy Commissioner and Superintendent, in terms of the disparity between reported and unreported case and then arrest and prosecution, what steps have been taken from the constabulary to improve prosecution and improve arrest and then prosecution, especially successful prosecution? Are you all still faced with problems of witness, or can you, Deputy Commissioner or perhaps Superintendent, point to a few, contributing factors that all of us, as an interagency, intersectoral approach, we can address together, other than just mere police force? Itu like untuk committee, these are the real contributing factors that prevent us from, increasing or successfully arresting and prosecuting.
I'll start on the positive.
Yes.
On the positive note, let me say the FSVU has introduced a system whereby data is collected on the cases that they are dealing with, more so on who the perpetrators are, what type of gender are the most reported that cause such issues, as well as the arrest and measured against the reported cases. And the UNDP has come on board to assist the FSVU to set up that database system. And training, like the director has mentioned, is ongoing for FSVU members as well as the recruits and recruit training up at Bomana. And like I mentioned earlier, we acknowledge the fact that FSVU is not only a law and order issue, it's actually a societal issue. Yes. So in that regard, it's not only the police force that can actually work on this or address such issues. So strengthening Working relations between RPNGC and the public prosecutors to improve GPV cases is also very, very important. To this end, there are 2 upcoming workshops for the coming month that will bring together key personnel from the RPNGC and the Public Prosecutions Office to foster better working relationship and improve skills on investigations and prosecutions in GPV cases.
All right, and the Deputy Commissioner, in your view, and Superintendent, of course, can you, as I keep begging this question, why is it that the prosecution is low or arrest is low? Let's start with arrest. Why is it arrest is low and then prosecution is low? Can you identify like the impediment or problem, or what is stopping the police force from, you know, arresting firstly and then prosecuting? We're still in the same situation, like no got witness or witness in like come up or like a serve. We can understand it. We have this conversation before already, and maybe situation has not changed. So, Deputy Commissioner, you could say that situation has not changed. We know this serve took place, but relatives are not coming forward. And maybe in the general GVP situation too, but in the dialogue this morning, we noted like maybe 80% or 90% happen in a family setting or in a setting between a, intimate relationship. So there is a reluctance to come forward. Is that still continuing to the situation, or you have identified some other reasons, or maybe Sendika, you don't have adequate money to prosecute or arrest people? If we can identify this, then we can have a real conversation about how do we progress it. But if it's still to do with witness, this morning we had a conversation with Secretary for Justice, Dr. Eric Kwa and his team, that maybe you may change him law on evidence and change him law on the Constitution. In some case, we shift the burden of proof, get rid of the Section 37(4) presumption of innocence. So time complaining come, we can say the accused, you are guilty unless you come to court and prove you are innocent. In some instance, maybe in some indictable offense, or even some summary offense, if it's a GVP case, once a complaint is laid, the burden shift. The accused has to come and prove his innocence. That's one approach we could take, and in the morning dialogue too, we suggested that we change the Evidence Act so that the requirement of the law that conviction can only be secured by corroborative evidence. Corroborative evidence of other witness. You may remove him legally. Maybe if we need to remove or reduce the burden of proof from beyond reasonable doubt to maybe on a reasonable basis or something. And secondly, we convict on the basis of the competency or the quality of evidence that is made by the victim or survivor. Because in South, all outline in now come na give him evidence. All outline here, all come give him evidence. Bar go big place, and by Nogatia. So maybe that's one factor. And in the family situation, intimate partner relationship, the partner or the relatives won't come and give evidence. So the evidence of the survivor or the victim on the credibility of, most times it's air. So on the credibility of air evidence, there should be a conviction. I think also, and by you may progress. Otherwise, Deputy Commissioner, people complain, but you go arrest Musat. Now you can make an arrest, but how do you secure conviction? Because not witness. So we must have to change some of this law because we are in a crisis, and you cannot do your work because apart from other impediments, maybe you, even if you arrest, not witness come up, so you may lose him case. And the result of which is these small perpetrators are becoming Rambo, and they're becoming habitual perpetrators, and then they are going into extreme, horrific torture and killing. This is what's happening. So if that is the case that you are all faced with, then we must all highlight this so that you may put in pressure on Secretary Harry Kwa, so he doesn't give excuse, legal excuse like law talk this, Supreme Court talk of him. If we have to amend the Constitution, especially Section 37(4), we amend the Constitution. So, Deputy Commissioner, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm just trying to help us to find a way forward that will help you all, the police, so that we all doing our part to, importantly, reduce the, ideally eliminate gender-based violence. Big problem in our country. All right, Deputy Commissioner, you try and talk about this one, and you Ms. Kelly.
Thank you, Chair. Before I start, I think let me give you some statistics on the 2024 GBB data. In 2024, the registered data from FSVU was 17,146 cases were reported. Out of the 17,146 cases, 12,009 were criminal cases, which only 614 were arrested, were cases that arrests were made. And out of that 614, there were only 73 convictions registered.
So if you are Deputy Commissioner, all line, do you mean PSC or PPC or PSC or prosecutors? Only give him explanation, or why is that this big disparity?
Yep.
They indicate or not at vehicle or not at fuel or kind of same or?
I think along the way, what we're experiencing is matters get referred back to mediation or some other, means along the way that they try to resolve themselves and
Yes.
get back or mend those issues. And
So after making a complaint, they started thinking again about family, or kind of same. So into me black or house line, me plus 13%, family something. Maybe you all police are referring them back to the community, or is it their choice? Or?
they have to make a choice. They lodge a complaint, they make the decision whether
Whether to continue the prosecution or go back na straight team law house line or family.
Yes, Chair. Because our criminal justice system is such that unless you have a witness in court to testify to secure conviction, otherwise you cannot. What will you present in court if there is no a witness to provide evidence in court?
You cannot do a criminal file for the prosecutor.
In your experience, Deputy Commissioner, in your experience being a police officer for, say, a senior officer for a number of years, given the statistics that you've just given us here, and we've got another set of statistics, similar, when the perpetrators and the victims are sent away to sort these things out at home, are you seeing that sort of reduce the level of family and sexual violence, or is it actually perpetuating it? What is your experience? Is it lessening the number that your officers are dealing with, or is it making things worse?
Sometimes the referrals, or we're sending them away, only makes these people become more violent. Or you've taken me to the police station, so he can take it back on the victim. We see this kind of.
So reoffending is quite normal.
Reoffending happens, and they run back to the police station. But it was your choice that you wanted to solve it outside of the system.
So in those, like as a professional policeman, what would your recommendation be, like in terms of these alarming statistics? What would your recommendation be to the committee in terms of how you think we can fix this?
recommend two things. Number one, I think when a complaint is lodged, it is now on the state to take it forward. If you want to withdraw the matter, we have to emphasize the fact that you have to go to court and withdraw it from the court. So in that way, it passes us, and we have already begun the criminal justice system. So rather than, halfway through, you taking it out from the police station, you go to the court and apply it to resolve the matter out of court.
Is it legally correct for the police to send them home to go and resolve it, or is the legal onus on the police to pass it through to the courts? What's the process here?
The process is such that, to my experience, if an arrest has been made, the police has no power, no right to discontinue the case. It must proceed to court.
Then why do officers allow them to go back and sort it outside after an arrest has been made?
After an arrest is made, they have no right to. If someone does that, allow someone to go out after an arrest is made, then he has committed a disciplinary offense.
But the police are still doing it?
I think it's clear on our part that they cannot. They have no power to release. After an arrest is made, literally the rights of that somebody has been removed. He or she has got to go through the court process.
And so these recommendations for, I guess, settling it outside of court or arbitration or whatever, who makes that suggestion? Is it?
Most times it is the victim. They want to resolve the matter out of court rather than going through the legal process.
And that's allowed?
Well, like we discussed earlier, because at the end of the day, it's him or her that will appear in court to give evidence. And if they don't want to go through the process and give evidence in court, they would rather want to have the matter resolved out of court. We respect that before an arrest is made.
So if there was a recommendation brought to the committee to make maybe a legal change or procedural change or whatever, and then that is done, that then would allow all of these cases to pass through to the court system?
I think from my personal view would be, we need to, I think, keep emphasizing and do more awareness on our part that when an offense is committed, any offense that is committed, it is an offense against the state, not an offense against a person. So that person must go through the legal criminal process to clear him or herself from the allegation and come out of it.
Is there anything the committee can do to reinforce that process? What can we do?
I think we have to advocate the fact that when an offense, when a complaint is lodged, that offense is an offense against the state, because the laws are laws of the land. So if an offense is identified or someone complains for something, then it is an offense committed against the laws of the land. So he or she must face the consequences as stipulated in the legislations.
I think, Deputy Commissioner, the only problem with it is, I mean, that's the law. The only problem with that is that when your officers, your prosecutors stand up in court and the witnesses are not forthcoming, then your effort becomes futile again. So we can change the law and make it, we can reinforce the law as it is now, that once a complaint is made, especially when an arrest is made, it's a business of the state. Because state law has been breached. Of course, you are a victim, but we are here to protect your rights, but importantly to the state law. So if we maintain that, it's a correct approach, but it has the serious challenge of how do we secure prosecution. No good witness now, still, if the complainant withdraws and we compel her or we compel him to continue to come to court and they don't want to cooperate, then the case still collapses. So how do we sort that out? Is there some way we get around it? Have you all in the police force thought about this so we can really The important thing is to secure prosecution.
Yeah.
The rules for evidence for the police, when you are arresting someone, does that need to be only written down and signed off, or is it possible, or do we need a legal change to accept, say, video evidence? What I'm trying to get at is, if a complainant decides to withdraw their case for any reason, at the initial instance where the complaint is made, there's a video statement taken. Does our system allow something like that? Because then you always have a reference point. Even if the victim decides to take another course, the complaint is already recorded with all the bruises and everything else. And would that be allowed in our system? I mean, the magistrates are sitting at the back, but I'm just asking you as an officer of the law. What do you think? I mean, we are looking for practical solutions because we want to, our interest is in making sure that this high level of perpetration is actually reduced over time. We're looking at that reduction. So we are looking for ways to get that reduction. What's your opinion, Deputy Commissioner?
I think with evidences like the first time they come and report if they are bleeding or the seriousness of the wounds and all that, if we capture it on video or as photographs, that can be tendered as evidence in court, and that has been accepted in court as evidence as to the seriousness. But one thing I'd like to see and get more emphasis on from the courts is the victim impact statements. The cases can go on for how many years, and the wounds can be healed over time. But the trauma that this victim has lived with through all these years, and after the wounds have healed, the hand may not be functioning the way it has been functioning when he or she did not go into that problem. So the impact after the commission of the offense is something that we have to revisit and bring back to court so that the penalty given in court is proportionate to the trauma that this victim is living with.
So maybe, Deputy Commissioner, maybe we focus on photographic or video evidence, and secondly, we secure that, victim impact statement. If we secure it early, then the complainant, for one reason or another, might withdraw, but we have enough evidence to prosecute the perpetrator. Because I think statistics would show that in an intimate relationship, it's normally goes for 8 times on average. The perpetration of violence committed 8 times, you come forgive, sorry longenia, all family come to Natoga, picking stuff. And then the poor woman, mother, out of compassion for her children, and maybe believe that the man will change, him give 1 round, and then 2 rounds. So studies show that on average it's about 8 rounds. Sometimes they live up to 8 rounds. Some of the time you go 5 rounds, the him die. So this is the general trend. So if we listen to the victim and say, okay, you go straight in the place, the chances are it'll be reoccur, and maybe they'll reach 8, and then she decided, oh, me go now, I'll leave. She finally got it, that this guy won't change, and I'll leave. But some of the time too, they won't go to 8, maybe 5, and I'm die finish. So as a state now, we've got to intervene, because sometimes people don't know what's good for them, or they have this assumption that, wrong assumption that this guy will change. Even though you have seen that what you do is what you do. People don't change overnight. Zebra don't change their stripe, overnight, or they don't change at all, some zebras. But this is the situation that women face, that they think, sorry, forgive me, remember I said this here. Sometimes too, because they only the breadwinner. Or they don't have a, support base, they cannot go back to their relatives, all same too, yeah. So they stay on, and they stay on. So as a state, we need to intervene and say, no, it's not going to work. we are going to prosecute your husband or your partner or whatever, whether you like it or not, so maybe will change. So maybe that decision we make. So if we secure the photographic evidence and medical evidence and victim impact statement, we got enough evidence to give to the magistrate at the bank or all stuff backside here, or at the judge at the indictment criminal trial, and maybe we secure prosecution. Then we are turning things around, or importantly, we have arrested, we have prosecuted, and we have secured the conviction. So now you may got report, and arrest is low, and then prosecution too is even low, and conviction I think is even lower. And so no wonder the statistics is going up. So we have to think about it in a different way, and in the same context, me like I encourage you to think about what the dialogue we have with the Secretary for Justice and Attorney General. Change the Evidence Act, change the Constitution, shift the onus to in some instances, not everyone. And my deputy here, he suggests that we can have a sunset clause, like you may try him 10 years. Shift in some cases, maybe serious assault or rape, or you may shift him burden. The complaint has been made, when medical report is here, so these injuries and so on will not happen like somebody from invisible person come and do it. Or no, somebody did it. And the allegation is you did it. So the onus comes on you. You come and explain. Maybe in the time you were in Medeng and not in Bans or something, you come, that story. Mr. Lo Medeng Lo, there's a time. I couldn't do it. But if you cannot prove that, you were there with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, and something can come up. Mute Solia. So you back collaborate now, unless you come and clear yourself. So I think these are some of the steps that we need to take. So we want you all to think about that. If the recommendation comes, let's all together think about it, and the pros and cons, and we try some things that can work, and especially bring prosecution. Otherwise, you go worse and worse. Yeah. Any comments you like to talk, or otherwise, I'm trying to manage our time too. So I apologize for giving you a short time, Deputy Commissioner. You came all the way, but we have two agencies of state at the back department. So, Deputy Chairman, you want to ask some question? No?
Chairman.
Committee member, yes.
Thank you, Chairman. You asked for a structure. I just want to go back to recommendation 57 of the committee, where it states the RPNGC senior management must work closely with the Department of Personnel Management to prioritize the implementation of the classified structure that was approved in 2020 and supposed to be implemented by the end of 2022. We are in 2025, and so that leads me to the question of asking whether the funding support that comes through FSVU, because this morning we had issues of the kind of budget allocations and the funding support was an issue. So I just wanted to ask the Commissioner and Superintendent if they are also experiencing these similar challenges in terms of the funding to the unit, and of course the structure that is yet to be approved, if it's also affecting their work as well. There's 21 units, 120 staff, but of course we realize that most of the units are in Morobe. Some provinces have probably 1, 2, there's New Island 0, and others 1 unit each. So I just wanted to ask that question.
Thank you. We do have budget for the directorate. In provinces, mostly they are supported by the provincial budgets out from the PPC's votes. So the FSVUs located in the provinces basically comes under the PPC's budget in those provinces. But nationally, yes, the director and the team, if she's going out for visits or anything, it's captured under our budget nationally.
Perhaps follow up to that, maybe I can put it straight to Superintendent Sandeka. Is the budget that you have been allocated up to now sufficient or enable you, and do you have sort of an ideal budget, like you all have done some budget submission together with every other division of the constabulary, submitted through the Commissioner to Treasury and National Planning? You have that submission available or not, that we can as a committee consider? So, in our discussion with the Secretary for Treasury, we had this proposed to him that maybe we do a intersectoral funding arrangement where the sectors in different departments, health, Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, justice, magisterial services, we all submit together separately, and then the funding is made maybe through, for example, just giving an example, I'm not suggesting that it's done that way, but the funding comes through the Secretariat, and then it's remitted to you all directly, to the FSVU Secretariat, UPLA operate. Have you have that submissions, standalone submission or part of your submission going to the Commissioner that we could have a look at?
Chair, yes, we have, since 2021, we have been given the first budget of 145,000. Since then, it's the same budget. The same budget ceiling is given to us to budget for till now.
Is that sufficient, or is that your preferred budget or your ideal budget, or you have a budget submission we can have a look at?
I can put something together for, in terms of ideal budget, it's not ideal budget because I oversight, the Directorate oversight 22 provinces and down to the districts, with about 89 plus other 6 districts now, it's up to 95 districts. Directorate would like to see that all of the people, the bulk of the people in the country have access to police service in their districts rather than just one standalone in the province. The total of FSBU throughout the country, as we speak, is 54 family sexual violence across the country. And we are still, majority of the family violence units are in Mosby, about 9, and in Morobe 8, lay. So in other provinces, they have only 1, 2 like that. So we are yet to reach the capacity when we when we go into the districts. And that impacts on the structure that we already talked previously, that those structures got to be in place properly, which boils down to the welfare and welfare of our officers working out there in the provinces. They have to be locked on a position and have a pathway for promotion up. All these things will be big motivation for our FSBU staff throughout the country. Right now it's very sensitive, as I've mentioned, so we are now working on it to make sure that it's good for everyone.
There's 2 questions I have. One I wanted to ask to you, Superintendent Sandeka, and the other one back to Deputy Commissioner. The question I wanted to ask you, and it's sensitive, and that is that we're also seeing cases of partner violence in the force. And I wanted to ask, to what level are you within the force offering things like counseling, and because I'm just thinking, you know, the type of work that you do is highly stressful, and some of your officers could actually take that stress back home and cause issues there. What can you tell us? Do you have any capacity to deal with that sort of thing? And I know it's sensitive because it's members of your own force, but I think it's something that the country needs to to start to take a handle on?
Thank you, Chair. In terms of dealing with our own personals, RPNGC personals, one, the perpetrators, or police as perpetrators for family violence. We, family sexual violence unit, we deal with them. We get them arrested, sometimes refer them to our internal investigation unit, IIU, to deal with them. And also, we deal with them like any other public.
Do you have a counseling service for your members or not? Do you need one?
Yes, we need a proper counseling service for our officers. As you've already stated, it's very stressful for our officers. Some of our officers who have been sick and still working in this space, it adds on to that the stress, adds on to whatever illness they have, and it's not very helpful. So obviously we need counseling services to support, in place to support what we're doing.
Do you have that in your structure, or do you have access to it?
We don't have it in our structure, but we have access to. In working with partners, we have established in Moresby a very good counseling service.
And in other centers?
In other centers, they don't have that.
So, Deputy Commissioner, how do you, as an organization, deal with this type of stress? Because you've been our ICP here in NCD, and you know our police number is the same, population is increased. We keep on rotating the same number of policemen and women every day, every week. Of course, they will be subject to stress. So, is there, mechanism inside the constabulary to, are they given leave or something like on a frequent basis, maybe 1 week leave, you go malalo past them, now you come back, distress or, deal with probably trauma, they come to face, maybe they've been attacked or they attack some people, and some ways of enabling them to, overcome their trauma. And then they probably can come back and be a bit fit to work, or how do you deal with this challenge that you all face within the police force itself?
Thank you, Chair. To compensate our personnel who have worked overtime or have done some job away from their normal workplace, we either put them on leave in lieu of overtime, or they take some days off and then come back to work. But in terms of proper counseling, we don't have a mechanism in place, and I think that's something that we, as an organization, will have to seriously look into, establishing a proper counseling unit in the organization.
While I have you, thank you for that response. The other thing I wanted to get from you is that you gave us your 2024 figures in terms of gender-based violence of 17,000 cases. What is your total caseload, like everything? Robbery, arson, fighting, or gerawantemia. What proportion of the cases that your organization deals with is GBV, and what is everything else?
I don't have the statistics with me now, but I can provide that.
Yeah. I'm interested because you have, what's your total manpower now?
It's just over 6,300.
6,300. That's for the whole country? For
the whole country, uniform personnel.
Is that sufficient, do you think, to deal with all of our problems, including gender-based violence?
No. It is not sufficient. The demand is overwhelming.
What do you think your manpower needs would be?
I think like here in NCD, we should have about 1,200 or 1,500 in NCD alone.
What do you have now?
We only have about 800. So that's insufficient.
For the whole country?
For the whole country, it's 6,300.
What do you need?
What do you need?
10,000. About 10,000 would be sufficient to start off with. Because in each and every province, the demand is different, given the kind of the nature of crimes that are happening in various provinces. And the response that would require to address them is would be different from everyone.
With all your caseload, obviously 17,000 GBV cases, how do your officers prioritize? Would they sort of give more emphasis on, say, robbery or murder or tribal fighting, or where do you think the focus of the manpower would be at the moment?
I think the advantage we have is such that we have various units. So like GPV cases goes to the Family and Sexual Violence Unit, while sexual offenses, all sexual offenses go to the CID Sexual Offenses Squad. So we can differentiate the offenses and direct them to where they can be addressed or processed.
And do you think you are appropriately handling the volumes at the moment?
In the meantime, we are processing them all right, but the thing is manpower, trained personnel. Trained personnel would be a key issue. Like GBV, it's not about training a policeman or policewoman to handle these cases and sit him or her there. Give him some investigative skills so that he or she can look at, if someone wants to progress that case through the criminal justice track, then what evidence do you need to collect to substantiate a claim or that allegation to go through the criminal justice process? So having those skill sets is very important as well.
You don't have those skill sets at the moment in some parts?
Our guys go through Bomana Training College, where basic skills are taught, but over time, you need to upgrade those skill sets for them to be better out in what they're doing on the field.
All right, Deputy Commissioner, we might have to ask you to, and Superintendent Seneka, to excuse yourself. But before you leave, I just want to ask if in the constabulary, through the Office of the Police Commissioner, have you all adopted the strategy, the national strategy to respond to gender-based violence and end gender-based violence? Has it been adopted in the constabulary? And if so, what are the steps you all have taken to get members of the constabulary to adhere to the strategy, especially adopting a zero tolerance approach? If you commit gender-based violence at home or at workplace, you'll be given like 1, 2, 3 warnings, maybe 1, 2, 3, third time, maybe you lose in force, yeah? And that approach. Secondly, how have you all synthesized your members of the force so that they are gender sensitive, sensitive to violence? Or, it's, we understand that, in terms of your work, it's, very tough work, and sometimes, violence or some sort of violence is used, especially to arrest and detain, because people don't just cooperate with the police. We have to chase them and arrest them, or sometimes we have to, shoot their tires or injure them in some way so that we disable them a bit before we arrest them. So we understand that, but in as far as just adhering to and taking ownership of the GBV strategy and the policy, is that been done in the police force?
Chair, in terms of GBV strategy, the Family Sexual Violence Directorate, we have our own strategy derived from the constabulary corporate
Plan.
Yes. Yeah. So that's our culture that we, from the commissioner, when the commissioner put in place the corporate plan, our divisional commanders did their own from that, and we all, as directors, we do ours.
All right. Okay.
But much of those, the strategies that we do, especially for Family Sexual Violence Directorate, I think it's also covered so many things that are in the National GBV strategy already.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you, Superintendent and Deputy Commissioner. In our next inquiry, we might summon all the departmental heads and CEOs, MDs of state agency to come and testify as to whether they have adopted the strategy and implement it in their respective organization. Because our portion as a committee is that if government immediate we take ownership and implement it, and we walk the talk, then the public will follow suit. But now we have a policy and we expect the public to follow and adhere to, but immediate as government, you may know work behind him, so this is why I'm raising this. So please take note of it. I think second point I want to make is that, it skipped my mind a bit, but sorry, Deputy Commissioner, I think in our dialogue with the Secretary for Attorney General and Justice, Dr. Rikwa, he was of the view, sorry, not of the view, but their department has come to the conclusion that apart from just responding, we also should focus also on prevention. That we get the department to work with the community to prevent the prevalence of violence. So perhaps, you know, this is something you all do. I want to recommend. I could ask you that question, but you know we are running out of time, so I would recommend that you all consider that. And final question I want to put, or not question, but I want to also take this time to invite you all. I think we have a number of questions. We have not covered all of that. So if you, Deputy Commissioner, you and Superintendent can go and have a look at the question and maybe give us a, not maybe, but answer the question and send us the response. That will be good for us to go through as part of our report, so we can do proper report to Parliament. With that, if unless Deputy Commissioner, you have some comments or remarks you want to make in closing, I will ask you to be excused.
Thank you, Chair. Just before we leave, with the prevention strategies that you have asked for, I will speak to the Commissioner. That's something that we can work on. Once we adopt the GBB strategy, we may incorporate that into looking at what prevention options that are there for us to incorporate that in as well. And we will do the write-up on all the questions and give it back to you with the statistics.
And don't forget our views about the evidence and amending the Constitution. It's not in the question, but it's probably something we can all seriously discuss, so that we can secure prosecution.
Sure.
All right, thank you, Deputy Commissioner, for your time, and thank you for your contribution to our inquiry today.
Thank you very much.
Superintendent, thank you. You are now excused. Mr. Y, I will have to call you to. Oh, PM. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner, Superintendent. Thank you. Mr. Y, I think you will have to wait a bit. We have the Department of Personnel Management in the schedule. They are not to be called at this time, but they've been here since lunch. So with your indulgence, we'll ask the Department of Personnel Management to come. Thank you. I'll have to manage our time, so I want us to end our session no later than 5 o'clock. If we can end it early, it will be good. But otherwise, I want to give that timeline to all of us. Thank you, Madam. If you could introduce yourself for our record. You are Deputy Secretary or Assistant Secretary, or please.
Thank you, Chair.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chair, and our Deputy Chair, and members to our committee. I convey Madam Secretary Sanson's apologies this afternoon as she is unable to be present here this afternoon. I am Ms. Amelia Raka, and I have been nominated by Secretary Sanson to represent her in this hearing this afternoon. I am currently the manager for GEWE Whole of Government from the Department of Personnel Management.
All right, Ms. Raka, thank you for your attendance, and we note the Secretary's apologies, and but we have to move on. I think in terms of the line of questioning, and my committee members should help me out on this. Oh, here we are. Where is the...
Well, maybe we can start by, you can give us an update on any updates on the rollout of the GESI policy within government.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. And so in 2013, when we launched the national GESI policy, we only had 3 government agencies that responded to creating GESI positions in accordance with Circular Instruction 8, Circular Instruction 7 of 2013 and Circular Instruction 8 of 2014. At present, now 2025, we have created so far 133 GESI positions across the public service in 63 government agencies. And these 63 government agencies are agencies that are currently on the Ascender payroll. Having said that, we also have 4 state-owned entities that have created their GESI positions. Now, from these positions that have been created, we still have an outstanding of the 133 positions that have been created. It represents only 65 of the government agencies that are on the Ascender payroll. So we still have 48 agencies in the public service that are yet to create GESI positions.
Thank you. In terms of the, you obviously want to recruit people. In terms of the mainstreaming of the policy
Yes.
into agencies, even the ones that don't have GESI positions, how is that coming along? Do you have a mechanism to measure that? And can you give us an update if you do?
Thank you, Deputy. I will respond. So our department, according to Circular Instruction 7 of 2013, we have to date delivered GESI policy implementation planning sessions for 17 government agencies with records that only date back to the 25th of June 2015. Of the 17 government agencies that have undergone these GESI policy implementation planning sessions for management team, only 41 male public servants and 32 female participants at management level have completed the GESI policy implementation planning session. And this basically focuses on our senior management team at executive here at national level and at provincial level, covering the provincial management team. However, due to missing records, we do not have on record GESI policy sessions that had been delivered after the launch of the policy and prior to 2024. Now, moving on from there, we also have GESI sensitization and mainstreaming because you talked about coordination. Our stats only date back to the 14th of May 2019 to current, and we've delivered so far, trained 959 public servants, with 500 male public servants and 447 are female public servants at senior and middle management levels. And basically this is for them to attain the understanding of embracing and incorporating the GESI principles and values into our existing business systems, processes, to enhance and improve internal and external service provision and delivery.
Okay, if I can follow on from there, and it's pretty impressive, the information that you have there. I want to take you to an M&E question now. How much success have you gained from rolling out the policy in terms of reducing, say, gender-based issues within the public service?
Deputy Chair, I'll be very honest, it's very tricky. It's very difficult. Now, from the agencies that I have just read out to you, we only have 7 government agencies that have internal GESI policies where they've aligned from our national GESI policy. So if you're talking about actual sensitization and mainstreaming of our public servants, both at executive, middle management, senior officer, and line officer, we still have a lot of work to do.
So the policy hasn't filtered
The
very much
policy
downwards.
has filtered. The challenge for us is the uptake or the acceptance of the policy. Why? Basically because many of our public servants, both male and women, I can only speak from our experience, is that many of our perpetrators are public servants.
Do we have a policy that deals with that? Like, what do we do if there's a public servant that's perpetrating violence on their partner? What do we do? What's our policy?
Thank you, Deputy, for asking that question. So currently, in terms of the Public Service General Order, Section 20.52 to 67, it captures the disciplinary process of disciplinaring,
Can you summarize that for us?
Okay, so thank you. So in a sense, not every single GESI case that has come forward to a
Ms.
GESI
Raga,
desk.
sorry. Can you explain for the benefit of everyone
Sure.
here, what's GESI?
Thank you. So GESI is gender equity and social inclusion.
Thank you.
So when we say gender equity and social inclusion, we basically refer to business process and system. So Deputy, coming back to your question, in terms of GESI case management, that is also an area of challenge for us. Many of our GESI officers need to undergo GESI case management or referral pathway training so that they can be able to address, register, assess, and refer these cases. Now, when it comes to the termination, I can say that whilst we have our general orders, there has to be more stronger disciplinary that has to be tied in.
Do you have, sorry for interrupting,
That's
do you
fine.
have any statistics on the level of gender-based violence within the public service?
Thank you, Deputy, and thank you, Chair. I will be very honest here, we don't. And basically because not all our GESI officers or managers from our current agencies that have GESI desk report to us.
Why do we have a junior officer responsible for the policy? Why can't it be the department head or someone senior? What's stopping us from having this as part of the general management of the agency? Why does it have to be a junior officer dealing with all these things?
Sorry, Deputy, could you rephrase that?
Is your position, what is your position? Is Deputy Secretary or Assistant Secretary, or you're just sector manager?
She's
or?
a manager.
I am a manager. We currently have a division within the department. We
So-
currently have an absence. We substantively have vacant the executive manager position for GESI in the department.
So that's at the executive level, almost Deputy Secretary or
At
Assistant?
executive, so that would be under Deputy Secretary.
All right.
So how would you rate your success? I mean, you're doing a lot of great work apparently
Yes.
from your report, but the results, I'm more interested in the results of all of this work that you're doing. So coming back to my question, if someone is a perpetrator, say in the administration in Isipik,
Yes.
and say we don't have a GESI officer, why is the provincial administrator not made responsible for, what's the
Implementing
word?
the policy.
Implementing the policy?
The agency head is not made accountable to that GESI case because of the absence of the creation of a GESI position and an appointment of a GESI manager to that position.
So what you're
What
saying,
would be needed to do that?
Sorry.
What is needed to get that going? What do we need to
Thank
do
you,
to enable that to happen?
Chair, from my position as a line manager in the department, I would request and recommend for stronger measures to be taken on department heads to respond to the GESI policy. As
Alright.
per the statistics I've given you, we only have 65 agencies.
Yep.
Would
That's
If we,
still.
if we amended the general orders so that the issues of gender violence become the responsibility of the department head, and I'm not sure why that wasn't done in the first place in relation to the policy. Because it seems to me that the person most likely to affect change in any organization is the person in charge. It's not a junior officer. So, whilst the policy sounds like a really nice document, I'm not sure if its practical applications are, and perhaps there's something you could justify to us. It's nice to have a policy,
Yes,
but a policy needs to come with a big stick too
yes.
to make it work. And in this case, I think the big stick is missing in this particular rollout. How many years now have we been trying to roll out GESI?
The GESI policy was launched on the 30th of January in 2013.
So 2013,
Up to
12
now.
years,
So it'll be 12 years.
20th of January.
and we still have so many agencies not complying after 12 years.
No.
I would suggest you have an issue there, so I would, Chair, sorry.
I was going to ask, does this policy incorporate the strategy in the national GEWE strategy? And if so, what is the extent? One. Secondly, how does it incorporate, and I know the gender equality policy has lapsed in 2015, but to what extent it reflects what used to be in the whole gender equality policy that has lapsed in 2015, because
Yes.
your policy was, the GESI policy was launched in 2013,
Yes.
by which time the gender equality policy was still in existence. So can you try to explain, the extent to which GESI incorporates GVV strategy and gender equality policy? Or is it separate, or I think that's the first question I want to ask.
No, Chair, they aren't separate. We all know that gender equality or gender equity, administratively for us, it's cross-cutting. So GESI officers are also responsible in ensuring that the GBV cases that are brought forward to the GESI desk are also registered and assessed. From there, I also would want to use the opportunity to clarify is that we GESI officers, initially with the launch of the policy, it being an administrative policy, our role was to register, assess, and make a referral. And so based on that, however, because of the change and the current state that we are in where, as you've said during the course of today, 3.5 million women and girls being violated every single day, GESI officers by default have taken on that role as GBV, undertaking GBV matters.
So in terms of what they do, are they doing, apart from synthesizing the departments or agencies that have GESI officers, are these departments and agencies also getting the members of the respective agencies synthesized on the GVV policy, since it was launched in 2016 after the launching of, and if so, have the departments that have been covered, have they adopted like a zero tolerance approach, or thinking of a 3-strike approach? We give you first warning, second warning, third warning, you are off. And I say this in the context that one of our recommendations to Parliament might be, and we have been petitioned by the Trade Union Congress, that we adopt that policy. We pass that law, a law which will require us the secretary of the department or the officer in charge of the policy, because the secretary could be a perpetrator too. So we give them first 2 warnings. The third time, you're dismissed. Is that something, have you all been promoting something to that extent, or?
Yes, Chair, we have been. In terms of our GESI officers, when it comes to responding to the national GBV preventative and responsive policy, they work very closely with our community development officers for that awareness to be done. And so GESI officers also work alongside our community development officers in the provinces. For those here at national level, they work very closely with our community development officers in responding to GBV.
Yes, but in terms of outcomes, employees of the maybe 65 government agencies, any employees been terminated as a result of being a perpetrator of gender-based violence or not?
From the law
And do you have such statistics, or you may walk nothing now, you know what, nothing's happening. When nothing is happening, we are giving permission and continues unabated. This is the problem. So you have statistics or not to share with us?
Chair, at present, no. We don't. However, our GESI officers in their respective agencies do have statistics.
But not compile, huh?
But they document, they don't share with us. So
Why
the
is
question
that?
of accountability.
So maybe this policy is just good for paper only, if there is no accountability. But Manager, Ms. Laka,
Yes.
let me read you recommendation 12. This is of the Special Parliamentary Committee in the last Parliament, I think in April 2022. Recommendation 12, the Department for Personal Management must take a more proactive approach to ensuring that all government departments, state-owned enterprises, provincial and local level governments, administration, develop and implement workplace GBV policy as required by the National GESI policy and or the Public Service General Orders, including GESI indicators and zero tolerance of all GBV in all corporate plans, annual management plans, staff performance appraisal, occupational health, safety plans, public service employment contracts, and so on. To what extent have you all implemented this particular recommendation?
In terms of our GESI officers,
And in terms of getting this zero tolerance into contract and into employment condition, that if you are a perpetrator in the public sector, you can't be employed by the state because you are acting against the state policy. So, of course, we are all not saint. We will, probably default one time or another, but we can only tolerate you maybe two, 3 times.
Yes.
On the 3rd time, you're out. You're better off somewhere else and not in a government organization that has adopted a policy as a state to have zero tolerance on gender-based violence. So, you will implement him or not?
Thank you, Chair. I'll respond to that. In 2023, at the end of 2023, in Q4, our department was able to make GESI as a 4th mandatory indicator in the KPIs of agency heads. Now, as a result of that, we now have agency heads that have cascaded or translated that down into through the corporate plans of agencies. The Department of Works and Highways most recently have included GESI. Our department also has GESI, as well as other agencies that have captured GESI in their corporate plans. This also translates into the management action plans. Having said that, many of our GESI officers are members to the disciplinary committee in the various agencies where they have created their GESI positions.
Ms. Laka, has it been incorporated like now some officers are getting to become contract officers at certain level, maybe secretary level, the assistant secretary, they are becoming contract officers. In NCDC, for example, we are getting a lot more officers to be on contract, whether it's 3-year contract or 2-year contract, but they are on contract, so they perform, deliver, But at the same time, we are able to hold them to account that if they default, start perpetrating, then we give you 3 notice. On the 3rd time, you are out. We terminate your contract. So, is there evidence that this policy is being incorporated and put into terms of employment by the contracts, or is incorporated into the general orders, or what is the accountability mechanism in the public service? Is there an accountability mechanism or not?
There is accountability mechanism as per our Public Service Management Act, our general order.
Yeah.
And when you're speaking practice, it would be tied into the contracts. Now, in terms of the public service, we all know that our contract positions would be those depending on the organization structure. There would be contract officers on 16 or maybe 15 or 17 above. So for those of us in terms of line positions, we respond by way of our work plans through our contract officers. And so does acceptance or the socialization of the policy in agencies also by way of not responding would be an indication that even our GEWE officers, we need training. It is a currently big area that we need training.
All right.
In terms of capacity building, for case management, for writing of policies, etc.
All right, Ms. Takat, thank you. I think this conversation we will have with your secretary.
Thank you.
She's the appropriate person, and she must come to the committee inquiry, maybe not tomorrow, maybe the next subsequent one. And she needs to explain the real tangible steps that are being taken to bring the policy and the strategy to become real in the public service. And here we are just talking about the national department, but you know, the public service includes the provincial administration. And tomorrow we will be bringing the provincial administrators to come and give us an account of what step they're taking. But we need to multiply our effort. The prevalence, as you had today, you've been here since before lunch, so and it's well publicized last week at the special session, 2 days. We have an emergency, and your department, as a major, you know, line department in the public service, is not dealing with this situation or as an emergency. We are just casual. We are probably mediocre. 13 years and there's no data. There's no you know, indicators to see if this JC as a policy is working, or incorporating strategy on GBB is working, or incorporating gender equality is working, or the gap is being closed in the public service. Or the indication seems to be that only 30% of the public service is female. So does that mean that females are dumb, or they cannot have the same ability or brains as men? Or why is it that 50 years now we are still only 30%? And in the top level of public service, I think we have only your secretary and maybe secretary for NEC, and maybe CEO of National Gaming and Control Board, and that's all. It's not a good, you know, testimony for the journey of our country and our people, and for women and girls of our country. Where will they get the inspiration that they can, you know, contribute to the highest level and in all sectors, and they're as good as boys and as good as men? So the policy should be, you know, having some tangible sort of indicators. But up to now, 13 years, we don't have much to show. So it looks like it's only good on paper. So we have to change the dynamics. Parliament has spoken very clearly, loud and clear last week. It is the work of this committee, which is a parliamentary committee, to bring everybody to account. So please get out of your complacency. We expect the secretary to come the next time. Thank you. Ms. Laka, you can be excused.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, committee.
Can we get a copy of what you give it to our officers who are
Yes.
at the back?
We will, thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Laka, maybe the 48 agencies too, if they could update their, how they've delivered GESI and also GVB and also GEWE. If they can update so it can form part of our report, because we want to know what they're doing or not doing and why. All right, thank you, Ms. Laka.
Thank you, Chair, thank you, committee.
Can we get a copy of what you just shared? Yes, sure. Okay.
Mr. Ken Wai, Deputy Secretary, I think you're next on the line. It's 4 o'clock, but let's time ourselves for 5 o'clock. With everybody's indulgence, thank you. Mr. White, please introduce all your team members so we can get the dialogue and interaction going.
Thank you, Honorable Governor Pakop, the Chair, the Deputy Chair, Honorable Alan Bird, committee members. Thank you for inviting us to this inquiry. On my far right is Dr. Mary Paiva. She's the manager responsible for population and family health, including gender and children. We have Kathleen Alua, sister gender in charge at the level of program coordinator. And on my left is Dr. Peniel Boas, is the executive manager for disease control. So we have two deputy executive managers. One is responsible for population health. She's gone across to Western Britain. Apologies from our secretary and minister. They went too late to commission the cancer. What's your name there? So thank you.
What's Ms. Alua's position again?
Thank you, Honorable Governor. Chair, my position at the National Department of Health is the Gender Health Equity Technical Advisor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Alua. Thank you, Mr. White. Do you, all right, Mr. White and your team, thank you again for your attendance. Health Department has been, an important stakeholder, of course, with the rolling out of the strategy on GVB and policy on gender equality. But in terms of our committee's work, you all have been with us from the beginning, so I want to acknowledge that. Secretaries in the past and other specialized section of your department, so I thank you once again for making yourself available. I think the basic dialogue we will want to have with you is basically to update ourselves and see what we are doing, what we have done, how we could do it better and improve our service, support the interagency, stakeholders who are working in this space, so that we are making impact. As you all know by now, we have done good work. Department of Health, you all have done great work, but it's not making a difference on the statistics. So there's something we are not doing right. And it demands all of us to review our work and multiply it. So there's a number of questions that have been given to you all, hopefully by our secretariat, about 11 questions. So these are basically to guide you all. Basically to see, since 2023 May, what, how have you all responded to the GEWE crisis, and how have you all improved your services, extend your services, and ensure that it is contributing to reducing the prevalence of gender-based violence. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. White. You have a prepared statement there, maybe an overview, or you are doing a presentation?
Yes,
right.
Chair, we have a prepared statement which
Yes,
we will
okay,
give it to you after this, and then we also have a PowerPoint presentation. You'll have copies there. Firstly, thank you for inviting us, and then because GBV and sexual violence are really part of the social determinants of health, which is responsible for 70% of the health issues that we have. We can only adequately respond directly about 30% of the health issues, and GBV is one of those that are actually affecting the health of the nation. We are really at the downstream part of GBV. And in health, we say prevention is better than cure. And has to be really prevented upstream by the community, by those responsible agencies, because when they come to us, they come with broken bones, injuries, bush knife wounds, sexually affected. So sometimes we tend to think that these are unnecessary. It should not happen actually, because we spend much of unplanned resources, time, manpower in attending to those. We're supposed to be looking at TB, HIV, malaria, and those cancers and deliveries and all that. We feel it's a reflection of a society that's, and we need help because we don't have all the resources to address. So we need support. In terms of the statistics, next slide, keep on going to the next slide. No, go to the previous slide. As impact of gender-based violence in the health sector, we're supposed to have all facilities throughout the country should at least, but it's all integrated services. But the specialist services are really at the hospitals. So we have so far 19 out of the 22 hospitals. 6 PHAs are without hospital-based family support centers like NCD, Central, Gulf, Oro, and Chiwaka. We have, in terms of district-based family support centers, we have 36. And the high-burden provinces are Enga, Southern Islands, Ella, Western Islands, and in Morobe. So when they suffer from all these unnecessary inflicted wounds, when they come, we provide post-exposure prophylaxis for HIV and STI treatments. We provide post-exposure prevention of pregnancy. We provide medical treatment. Most of them are integrated into our emergency health services. So We also give emergency vaccination, like for tetanus, if they have a bad wound, hepatitis B. We provide social support. We also provide medical report and clinical pathways to bring them back and have them healed. And also we provide external referrals to police and courts and to our partners. So that's what we do. In terms of the statistics, we started in 2018. You can see the data there. 6,000, 7,000, 5,000 in 2020, 4,000 in 2021. Reporting started by about 2023. So we have indicators to collect all the data from. 2019, we had about 4,300. 2020, 16,000. 2021, 19,000. Last year, or in 2024, we had about 25,000 recorded cases. And then in 2025, we have about 2024, sorry. 2024, about 125,000 cases. Sexual violence, 34,000, and then
Can you repeat that again, like slowly?
Dr. Paiva, please tell me. You wrote something for me here.
Yes, so the trend that you see on the PowerPoint states that the family support centers started recording cases of sexual violence and physical violence around 2018. So the trend that Mr. Y is referring to of 125,000 cases is over that time period.
Cumulative.
From 2018 to yes, from 2018 to the middle of 2024, 125 cases of both total sexual violence and physical violence from youngest less than 0 to 4 years cases. We're seeing that as, up to over 17 years of age. So those are cases that are reported through our family support centers around the country.
And 34,000 of that sexual violation or sexual offense cases.
Sexual offenses.
Yeah, that's from 2018 to 2024.
2024.
34,000.
Yes. And physical violence, 90,000. So we've reported over 125,000. So in average, you can see that there is big issues there.
Compared to, say, other countries, and I'm not sure if you've done the comparison, I'm just asking, how do we fare in comparison, maybe on a per capita basis with, say our neighbors, for instance?
Like who?
Sure, that's a good question. We need to go back and analyze that. And most of the statistics that flows around in the Western Pacific region, we seem to be eating the headlines when it comes to TB or HIV and possibly violence.
We haven't measured these.
We haven't. Well, we'll definitely go back and do some studies on that, and then we can report.
Yes. Dr. Paiva, perhaps you were good at your statistics started off slow, less, and then dramatically increased in yep, sorry. Yeah, maybe I'm looking at the wrong one.
And while Chairman is looking at it, I just want to remind the audience that we actually have coffee and biscuits and things. So if you're feeling tired and you want to help yourself, just feel free. But don't everyone go at the same time. Huh? Okay, thank you. Sure.
Yeah, I was going to say that 2019 was low, and then suddenly 2020, your statistics start climbing up dramatically. So is that what's the indication of that? Just reporting, or it shows increase in violence generally and sexual violence or gender-based violence in particular?
Thank you, Chair. It is a mix of all of those. So what we have started reporting through the National Health Information System with the Health Department has only started rising around 2018 when the family support centers were established around the country. And then reporting started picking up from 2019 and onwards. As Deputy Mr. Y has referred to, currently we have 19 family support centers that are hospital-based in 19 provinces. And then towards the end of 2023, at the start of 2023, 36 district facilities started reporting. And that was when we started seeing the numbers also increase in those reporting as well.
All right.
So what do these increases represent to you? How are you interpreting the data?
The data is represented in two ways. At the national level, we have at least 5 national indicators that the data has been reporting to, and only starting towards the end of 2023, we the Department of Health, through the Gender Equity and Health Disability Program, has established 31 program indicators. So the 31 program indicators speak very specifically to the type of violence that are reported through the FSCs. So if you want to pick up child abuse, what type of child abuse cases present at the FSCs, those are picked up at the family support centers. If you're looking at sexual violence, whether it's a non-pregnant sexual violence or whether it's a woman who is pregnant sexual violence, that data is also reported. So that data is very, very specific since 2023 up until now at the program level.
Do you share this information with any of the other agencies, or how does that work? Like, for example, with police, do you do that? Is there a mechanism, perhaps at management level?
It's good to do that, but we do provide as part of our annual management report, we provide all this data, like this 5 indicators, then 5 national indicators. It is reported through the annual management report. And then each of the PHAs also.
And who picks up that report?
It goes through the government through the Chief Secretary's office, and then it's also presented at the Parliament level. That's part of our annual management report. But that's a good question. We need to be sharing with the different sectors, especially on these indicators and rising indicators.
I'm asking that because it seems to me, given everyone that's presented to us, that you have the best information system in terms of how you aggregate data and collect data on GBV and SAB. And it might be useful for, say, Department of Justice, some of the other agencies, Treasury, so that it can be fed into, because for me, the only time I hear these things is when you present to us. I've never had this information presented in Parliament by anyone, to be honest with you. And I've been in Parliament 7 years, going 8 now, unless it's been done prior. So, I mean, this is really useful information, I think. So please continue.
Right, next slide, please. Again, this the sexual and physical violence reported by the facilities in 2024 and given in different age groups, both male and female. Again, you seem to see a lot of females are affected in terms of the violence, like 0 to 4 years, females up to about 768, and then in 5 to 16 years, again the females more than 4,000 cases, sexual violence as well as physical violence. Like sexual violence is 2,800, physical violence is 4,000. 17 years and above, physical violence or sexual violence is about females 1,500, and then for the physical violence, you can see 26,000. That's only last year.
Just confirm for me, you have here on 0 to 4 years, there's a large number of 658 cases of sexual violence and 786 cases of physical violence on 4-year-old children. Is that accurate?
Dr. Paiva, please.
Yes, Deputy Chair, that would be accurate. The reporting essentially comes through the family support centers, but it is picked up at all the sections of hospitals, at all the levels of healthcare that clients and patients are coming through. So those, that information would be correct, sir.
I find this alarming. It's we're perpetrating these acts on children younger than 4 years old. In terms of reporting that to, say, the police, because if I'm to correlate this with the police statistics, they only prosecuted 71. They had 71 convictions. Am I correct? So, if they had 71 convictions, that means that, and I'm just looking at the 4-year-olds, of the 658 cases of sexual abuse on 4-year-old children, we don't even know how this correlates to the 71 convictions. 73, according to the police who were.
17,114 cases.
But 73 convictions.
Yeah.
So, do we have any way, I mean, obviously there's a lot of young people involved, like from the 5 to 16-year-olds, there's still a huge number there. But I'm just looking at the 4-year-old one. I mean, these are children, infants.
Infants.
Is there any way we can track what happens to these children between, you know, when we pick them up at the hospital, for instance, and then through to, say, the police, and then, you know, what happens after that? Do all of these cases get reported to the police?
Deputy Chair, let me get back to the stats which was projected and presented by our Deputy Secretary. Okay, we have 2 sets of data that's flowing into the National Department of Health. The first set is the National Health Information System, that all the health facilities, every level of facilities that report, that cascades. So we have almost, how many? 3,221 facilities, health facilities from different level to level 6. So this trend of data is from all that facilities. So let's go back to the cases that's coming to those level. We also have a referral guideline that stipulates which services, which level are to provide and to refer to the next level. So those services are provided at that level. So the lower levels refer the sexual violence cases to the higher levels so that they can be able to provide medical reports through the medical legal pro forma for courts and for police.
Okay, let's take a hypothetical case. A 3-year-old female child presents at one of your facilities, and there is confirmation of, say, sexual abuse. What happens? What happens once that is confirmed?
Once it's confirmed at the nearest health facility, they do the referral.
To who?
To the higher level, that as a ONG specialist, a medical officer, to examine the level of the injury that is sustained by the child or the
okay, fair enough.
survivor.
And then what happens?
At that level, the essential services are provided to stabilize the survivor, if it's a child, and then the medical report is done, and it's handed over to the police. So most cases, the police are established at the provincial level. where the police post is, so they take over those cases. Some of the cases cannot reach that level, meaning the parents or the family, they resort to it outside of the judiciary or the police.
So a 3-year-old girl gets sexually molested, and that is dealt with by the family?
They're not allowed to. It has to, for children, there's an exception that it has to be dealt with it is a police case, especially children. So we have this mandatory reporting that it has to go through the process. For children's case, those above children, they make those decisions.
So if say a 17-year-old female was to be sexually assaulted, she makes the decision as to whether that proceeds to, say, a prosecution or not? She makes that decision?
Under the Lookout in Piccadilly Act, we have an age cutoff for consent. So if she's reached that age, then she makes the decision. If she has not reached that
consent
age,
to what?
Consent to any either to treatment, either to marriage, either to anything. The consent age is, I think, within that must be 16.
What do you mean when
or
you
18?
What do you mean when you say consent?
Consent is when the child is from 18 to 0.
Okay, I'm asking you specifically, out of these 18,000 cases of young people, say a female gets raped, for instance, sexually assaulted, whatever the word is, and the doctors pick it up. She presents at the hospital, say she's 16 years old. You then make a finding that this young person has been raped. You then refer it to the police or to whoever. And then you said it's up to this young person whether they continue with the prosecution or not, or she withdraws it, or threaten him place, or kill him pig, or that's why I'm asking, what do you mean by consent?
Once Lucim leaves the health facility or us, the health personals, and it's with the police, it's the police case. So we do follow up, but it happens to be their case, so they do the prosecution, they do the evidence finding, and they go through the whole process. So we are only summoned if the judge or the magistrate needs clarity in the medical report.
Yeah.
For evidence.
I'm asking you these questions not to, what's the word, place blame on you. I'm asking these questions because I need to understand, I think the committee needs to understand where the gaps are in our system. A 4-year-old child is someone that doesn't know what to do with themselves. And I think we all have a responsibility in making sure that there is justice for this 4-year-old. Okay, I'm asking this specifically because I have a case in Isipik where there was raping and killing, and there was no police action. And then these children became young adults. And last year they perpetrated one of the worst killings in our history in Isipik. And these were basically victims. They were young victims. Many of them were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old when these things happened to them. And then 10 years later, they became perpetrators. This is the reason why I'm asking this question. What happens to these young people? And there's a significant number of them going through your system that are victims of violence, victims of sexual violence. And it seems to me when I compare your information with the police information, there's a huge discrepancy. And that tells me that some of these cases, or not some of these cases, a large number of cases, if you look at your total number between yourselves and the police have 17,000, you have almost 30,000. So there's a gap of 13,000. That tells me that 13,000 victims are falling through the cracks. Now, if this is happening on an annual basis, that's a lot of people falling through the cracks that have been And like I said, it's not your fault. I am just trying to understand how we can get all of our government systems to work together to catch these people. So for one, they are helped. Two, we get justice for the victims. And three, hopefully we break the cycle of violence. So hence the line of my questioning to understand. And again, my reiteration that I would like to see a very strong correlation between the work you're doing, the work of the police, the justice system, and all of the government agencies that are interested working in this space. So it's really, really useful information, but again, I have to ask the question for those that are not here. So please continue.
Chair, if I can add on that, for the health sector, we are hyper-decentralized because all the health services are provided by the provincial health authorities when we look at the policies. So when it comes to structure, when it comes to service delivery, it's with the provincial health authorities. And each of the provincial health authorities, people like our specialist medical officers for child, SMOs for mothers, as well as all the other specialists. So thank you, Deputy Chair, for raising that. We'll definitely send a circular to everyone. This kind of cases must not stop at us. It has to be transferred to the relevant authorities. Law is not with us. We do our part and must be referred to the relevant authorities, especially police for prosecution. And but we can do our part in terms of counseling and care, even referring to the churches and pastors. That's for the counseling part of it. But when it comes to law and order, it has to go to the police and then out to the law and order agencies for implementation.
Can I ask another question? How far are you moving towards digital records of your patients? Are you doing that at all? I know they're doing it in GEWE.
Yes, we
so
are.
I'm interested in finding out how far across the country are we digitalizing our patient information.
We have the National Health Information System electronically and reporting by way of using the what I call
collecting individual patient records. Do you have that?
Yes, as they collect it, they report it to the the Provincial Health Information Office, and it also comes directly to our using the tablets.
Okay.
And that's been well supported by our ADB project, and we've renewed the contract to continue on.
Thank you.
Please, so I complete your presentation because I think your presentation is in response to all the recommendations. So
right,
if you can go through it, and
next slide, please. Oh, we've lost the slides. Okay. So the next slide shows the different indicators, that those 5 indicators that are for the National Health Information System, and then the 31 program indicators. Just an example, we've been given 6 questions, so we've responded accordingly. The government should provide sufficient funding to NDOH to ensure that trained health providers are available to GBV survivors throughout the country. So as I said, when it comes to implementation, it's provided by